Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my The Last of Us Part 2 Grounded Difficulty walkthrough. And this is episode 12, where we have switched out the setting of Seattle and headed on to Santa Barbara. And we're still playing as Abby, and this is actually Abby's last encounter, or the last encounter you will play as her. And we are gonna take on 3 runners and 1 clicker. And the first runner, as you can see, just jump in through the window and stealth kill him. And the clicker is over there in the corridor to the left. And if you want to, the 2 runners are outside. So if you want to, you can take them on first. Just sneak out and kill them. But I like doing it this way. Since I know it's the last time we'll be playing as Abby, let's make a cool exit, shall we? So just let the clicker, almost call him a walker, line up, shoot him in the face, do a melee kill, and jump out this window and intercept one of the runners coming here. Dodge her swing, kick her ass, crush her skull against the wall. Kaboom! And then Lev has run into a spot of trouble with the last runners, so go in, kick its ass, and Lev finishes it. Thank you. And that concludes Abby's playable part of this story, and we switch back to Ellie. And hopefully you have brought with you 3 shock grenades or smoke grenades and a shotgun shell. Because that will make... This is the chapter where we're gonna use them. I mentioned it a few times throughout this walkthrough, that you should always keep that in your inventory. It will make going through the very last encounter is where it's gonna come into play actually. And it will make it a little bit easier. But in here there is also an arrow we can pick up, and we're gonna head out here to the next area, in which there is 1 runner, 2 stalkers, and a clicker out here. And what you want to do is crawl up to this high grass, and we're gonna stealth kill the runner and then immediately start legging into this previous area, because we want to lure the clicker and the stalkers over to this part of the area. So we go in, we stealth kill her, which will draw the attention of the clicker and at least one of the stalkers. See, they go completely apeshit and then immediately run out here, as far out as you can. Because you want them to lose track of you and get over to, as I said, that side, or this side, to be more correctly, of the arena. Because we are just gonna bolt past them. And one of the stalkers has probably not moved up here. So be aware of that. He's gonna come running straight at me, so be prepared to dodge his swing. But as soon as they start calming down a little bit, we can start moving up once again. Be careful, because you don't want to get spotted too soon. And then when you get into this area, depending on where the clicker is, he is over to my right, so I make a left, do a circular motion around, run here, here comes the stalker, so we dodge her, climb up this little thing and up this wall and head through the hole. And the funny thing is that stalkers will not follow you through a hole in a wall. I have no idea why, but the clicker can. So as soon as you go in here, you want to duck down or dive down on your belly and hide behind this fountain. Because this is a great cover. He will walk about a little bit. He is so stirred up. He's probably on a sugar rush. Yes, I think he is. And just crawl around this fountain until he loses interest, and he will jump back out over the wall. Like so, and we can continue on our journey. And I think that is a weird design choice. That the clicker can follow you in, but the stalkers won't. And you will see that soon again, because when we're gonna move through this house and we're gonna go out and head for another hole in another wall and run past some stalkers in the process. And the process and the stalkers don't follow you out there either. And I think it is a really weird design choice because stalkers are supposed to be the most nimble of all the types of infecteds. Because they are, like they can dodge your bullets or arrows. If you shoot at them, they can duck down. And they sometimes they run on all fours, but for some reason, no, a brick wall is like a force field to them. But now, something I want to talk about, since we are in the very last chapter, the very last episode of this walkthrough. I want to talk a little bit about this walkthrough because this guide is... It almost became the guide that never happened. Because when this game came out, I was super psyched to do a guide for it, since the very first guide I ever did was for The Last of Us 1. And I didn't check through the trophy list at all before I did my first playthrough because I wanted it to be a secret. Sometimes I will look through the trophies first, but I wanted to just enjoy my journey through this game. And when I got to the end, I got the trophy, what I had to do, or what it's called, for beating the game, and I was expecting another trophy for beating it on normal, because the first game had a trophy for every difficulty. But it never popped. And then I went into the trophy list and realized that there was no difficulty related trophy. Which I thought was a really odd choice. And I also found out, because I talked to a friend of mine that also played the game, and he enlightened me to the fact that this game has gameplay modifiers, as they're called. I call them tweaks. And no matter what difficulty you're playing on, you can still get all the trophies. And you can make it even easier by activating the tweaks or the gameplay modifiers. So then I felt, and as I've said, I was a little bit disappointed with the game on my first playthrough. I thought it was a bit too long, and since the story is a little bit flawed, or the process of the story, or whatever you want to say, I'm not gonna rant on about it, because I'm just gonna say that I think the story overall is good. I think the story in the first game was better. And the biggest problem I have with it is how they chose to progress the story at times. Just small details. The story could have been better with small tweaks on how it was told. But either way, as I said, I realized there was no reward or penalty for choosing different difficulties, using gameplay modifiers or whatever, so I gave up the idea of doing a guide. And then Grounded mode was released. And I was still hesitant, because I thought about the game, having just played through it once, and I thought this game was really hard the first time. In this chapter, the very last section of the last encounter, I was stuck there for quite some time. And that's how I realized how great the smoke bombs are in that encounter. But I decided to give it a shot, because I thought maybe I'll enjoy the game more the second time, and I didn't want to do like a lot of practice runs. I thought I'll learn the game, or I have a good concept of the encounters, but I'll learn them more deeply during the recording, because It is quite a long game, and I didn't want to do like 3 playthroughs on Grounded just to get it down. So I thought I'll do a trial and error playthrough or recording. And I have done a lot of experimenting in a lot of these encounters, trying to come up with good, consistent strategies, and hopefully you would agree that most of the strategies are really good. I am not super pleased with Eastbrook Elementary. I think it is a shit encounter. I've said it quite a few times throughout this guide. But I think the strategy I use for it is as good as I could do it. But sometimes throughout this recording process I actually came close to giving up, because I have struck a few brick walls throughout this recording during during the trial and error process. And to give you an example, the hospital infiltration encounter with Ellie, the one where I missed a guard with 2 arrows, that was the result of 90 minutes of failed attempts. And I think it was the encounter I was stuck on the longest, actually. But I was so frustrated. I think I examined every way of not going through that fight. Every way you could do it wrong was tried and tested by me in this recording process. Just a quick note here. What I was going for with that arrow that I shot straight into oblivion was that I was hoping to hit the side of that bus and draw the attention of these two, and hopefully get them to go over there and start examining it. But sadly, since since the bow is such a silent weapon, and the arrow probably hit too far away from them. Also here, continue crawling, do not crouch like I did. That's why she spotted me, because I came too close with her. You are not completely silent while crouched. But as I said, I hit a few brick walls throughout recording, and I was really nervous for some of them, or for some of the encounters, especially the Rat King, because I really struggled on him on my first playthrough, because that area in all actuality is really dark. I turned up the contrast in this recording a bit due to make it easier on myself, and to make it easier for you to see what the hell is going on in that hospital basement. But I'm glad that I persevered, because in the end, if you don't give up, you sit here towards the end and have a completely recorded grounded mode walkthrough, and we are actually getting close to the end of it. In this encounter, you see me jogging. Do not start running until you get up to the corner of that freight container, because I let loose the runner so he would draw the attention of all the guards. And on my first attempt, I tried running immediately, but then the sniper up on the freight container will hear you and turn over to you instead. So make sure you jog, and when you reach the corner, start running. And the last guy I ran past, you can prepare your handgun and shoot him if he causes any trouble, because at this point you should have a bottle, and we're gonna use it in this encounter, because this encounter is the reason why we have saved our resources. And here, this guy, don't be too quick to kill him. Wait until he comes up there and stand still, because that guy over by that little shed, if you're too quick to stealth kill this guy, by the way, when you reach this encounter, you reach a checkpoint as well. But if you're too quick to stealth kill the first guy, you will run the risk of getting spotted by this dude. But since he doesn't know we're here, we're gonna end him with our trusty bow. Just wait for him to move right over there. That is a good spot. And now we're gonna use our bottle, because there is one guy on the other side of this wall standing by the pool. And if you try to stealth kill him out there by the pool. In my experience, there is a guard up on the balcony in the building that we're heading to over on the right side. And I tried a few times to go down to the pool or either shoot the guy in the head with an arrow or just choke him out, and the guard up on the balcony would spot me every time. But if you lure him in here with the bottle, you have all the time in the world to put an arrow in his head, and he will drop down, just lying around dead, not causing any problems. And I picked up this axe just as an extra precaution before we do our last rush. And in this area, you see there are 2 clickers down there in the pool. If you want to, you can sneak down and untie them and either fire a bullet, somehow make a little bit of noise. Hopefully the guards will not notice that it has come from your position. Because I think that those 2 clickers, they can tear shit up. Because after I record this, I actually watched a video, 1 or 2, of other people playing this to see what they were up to. And clickers seem to be able to do a lot of damage, but I didn't want to risk anything. I didn't want to try using them, because I feel that is too big of a dice roll, because clickers don't give a fuck about who they attack. So I think they can be a great help, but they can also cause you a lot of trouble. But if you want to, feel free to experiment with them. But if you have the resources that I advised you to get, we are gonna get through this without too much problems. And I was waiting here for quite a long time because I was super nervous. I was almost I was traumatized after my first playthrough, because this rush is really short. And that patch of tall grass you see at the left side of the screen, that is a checkpoint. If you manage to reach that grass without getting detected, if you are hidden, that is a checkpoint. But it will not trigger if enemies are aggroed, I think. But now that guy is walking away into the building, and this woman is coming up over here. So we're gonna pop out with our new weapon, which is a silenced assault rifle, and just clock her ass. So she drops like a bag of potatoes, just lying around. And we can move up to the grass. And as I said, you saw right there, a little transition. That's because I failed this once or twice. Make sure to heal up. If you have taken damage, you want to do this at full health, because you will run a great risk of getting hit going through this building. And now we're just gonna wait for this dude to move into the corner again, so we can shoot him with suppressed rifle. Like so. Down he goes. And now it's time to equip the shotgun, because we are gonna go into the entrance, shoot the guard on the right with the shotgun. I use the shotgun just because it packs a brutal punch. I'm sure it will kill him, and it will draw the attention of the rest of the soldiers. And one of 2 things will happen after you shoot this guy, because we are gonna head up the staircase. Sometimes there will be a guard running down, then be prepared to throw a smoke grenade in his face. For me, he was standing up here. He managed to clock me, but it was from a distance. So I just throw the grenade at him there. Keep running, keep running. The stamina will feel really low, but run up to this point. If you have done this quick enough, these guards will not notice that you have gotten up here. So they will just be sitting around waiting, and you have bypassed a patrol that goes out and starts spreading out. So now we throw out another smoke grenade and run. And I throw the 3rd one here. The 3rd one is not mandatory, I just did it as an extra precaution. And then we jump over that railing and run through the red door, and you're safe. All that remains now is, so to speak, the final boss, the final confrontation, or the second confrontation between Abby and Ellie. And I must say, even though this fight is in a way really grotesque, because when Ellie finds Abby, she has been crucified and left out to die of starvation and thirst. I think this fight is beautiful in a brutal sense, and it may sound weird, but just aesthetically, because this game is beautiful when it comes to graphics, but also how it's portrayed, because they are both hurt, they are bleeding, they are dirty, they are so worn down. And it's so well designed, because this is just pure aggression. It reminds me of in Game of Thrones when Brienne of Tarth and the Hound have a, can you call it a duel against each other? Towards the end when Brienne just screams and hits him with her fists. This is that kind of encounter. Two titans giving up almost their last breath to end this revenge story that has been going on for so long. Love the design. And this fight is also comprised of two phases. When you get to this point, you're at the end of phase 1, and there is a checkpoint in between them, which is super kind of them, even though this fight is not very hard. The brute fights, I would say, are a lot harder than this, because Abby's swings aren't super quick. I died once here in phase 2, that's why I know there is a checkpoint. Because you see, Abby's swings aren't super quick. I played really sloppily. I was still high on adrenaline after having gotten through the suicide rush in the building, so I think my hands were even shaking from adrenaline after that, because I realized that strat worked even for grounded mode, and it felt bittersweet to reach the end, and it feels bittersweet now as I'm narrating this last episode, because it has been a fun journey. And I know that when I'm done with this, all that's left for me to do with this project is export all the videos from my editing program and upload them on YouTube and move on to new projects. And when it's a project that you have invested a lot of time and effort and energy in it, yeah, it always feels a bit sad when you get to the end, but also fun. Because I hope that you as a viewer have found this video or this guide helpful and or enjoyable. And hopefully it has helped you get the Dig 2 Graves trophy. Because all that remains after this fight is the epilogue, and then the trophy is yours. And you have gotten through The Last of Us Part 2 on its very highest difficulty. But it's time to put or say goodbye to Ellie and Abby, and as always, I want to thank you deeply, truly, and sincerely very much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy my videos, and I will see you again in my next project. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.